每次開完馬之後咧，啲馬民朋友咧都有好多不滿嘅，有啲就話啲騎師跑得唔好啦，佢認為咧競賽小組冇好監察。到底競賽小組係咪真係冇好地做好呢份工咧？今集我哋揾咗首席受薪董事祁禮謙咧嚟解答大家嘅疑問嘅，咁即係同佢傾下偈啊！今日好開心啦，揾到我哋嘅首席受薪董事祁禮謙先生咧，講下上季一啲比較爭議性嘅個案啦，又或者今季其實開鑼咧冇耐咧已經有幾件咧就係研訊啦、抗議事件嘅，咁啊亦都有啲新條例咧就引入咗。咁到底競賽小組滿唔滿意上季佢哋嘅表現咧？即刻同你傾下偈啦。Thank you, Kim, for the interview again.
Pleasure.
Happy season last season. You think everything goes smooth, right?
Not too bad, Rayon. I think apart from the level of careless riding that we witnessed, I think there was 91 charges of careless riding last season, which isn't acceptable. It's too many. So we've taken steps this season to rectify that. But apart from the degree of careless riding, I was fairly happy with the way the season went last season.
So do you face any difficulties last season for the case in the inquiry and even all the regulation that you implied?
No, I think that the season proceeded fairly smoothly. We had protests such as the benefactor deep thinker protest, which was relatively straight up and down. There wasn't that much in the way of controversial protest objections. There's always going to be some difference of opinion, of course, and we expect that and we encourage those sort of discussions. But overall, I thought it was a relatively smooth season.
I'll talk about the jockey's suspension arrangement. You
Yes.
remember last season when Winston Ho case, and there's because of not enough of the jockey kept implementing the new rules. Is it legally to be arranged?
Oh yes, the powers and the rules for the Board of Stewards to commute any suspension or any penalty that's been imposed upon a jockey. Rayon, that was a very unusual set of circumstances in that we were getting close to the end of the season and the number of jockeys that were available were limited, and you'll recall that we had a fall involving Howard Cheng who broke his arm, so he was out of action, and then Gerald Mosse fell at a subsequent race meeting and injured himself, so he was unavailable, and the Board of Stewards felt that it was appropriate to have on standby a number of riders that were available to take rides in case there was another accident or in case there was an illness or something like that. The Board of Stewards felt it was not acceptable for horses to have to be scratched on race day or withdrawn on race day because of a shortage of jockeys. We were in the situation where a number of other overseas jurisdictions were also racing on the same day as us, so we couldn't fly jockeys in. So it was just an unusual set of circumstances that called for an unusual ruling, and the Board of Stewards have always had that power and they will always have that power. They just haven't had to use it before, but last season, that particular set of circumstances, they felt that it was in the best interest of racing, the fans, the club, the owners, the trainers, to make sure that there were enough jockeys on standby ready to take rides if it was necessary. And it would not have been acceptable, Rayon, if there had been some sort of accident in the first race of a race meeting at Sha Tin and for two jockeys to not be available and for the club to have to withdraw horses for the remainder of the day because jockeys weren't available to ride. That would not have been acceptable. So it was just, as I said, an unusual set of circumstances, and it was a very good decision of the Board of Stewards at that time.
The rule now you are implying is not very good, that let the jockey not really choose, but they can have a certain period to extend the suspension date.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Jockeys have always had the ability to defer a suspension. It's just up to the panel of stewards as to ruling how far that deferral is for. And that's a worldwide thing. It's not just Hong Kong, it's a worldwide thing. Down in other countries, they let them go 9 days before the suspension starts. Other different varying times in different jurisdictions. Hong Kong's very unique in that the racing program is known many months in advance, so trainers and owners can plan their races for their horses many months in advance, and jockeys are booked many weeks in advance of a particular engagement. The club feels that it isn't fair for owners to be penalised by having a particular jockey booked for a race and then having that jockey made unavailable at the last minute because of a suspension. Then the owners have to go and try and find another jockey. The other jockeys may be all booked up, and the owners haven't got an acceptable jockey that they feel is best for their horse in that particular set of circumstances. So I believe that the deferral of suspensions for jockeys works very well. It just doesn't work in the jockey's favour, it works in the club's favour, it works in the owner's favour as well. So it's not just all about the jockey. And at the end of the day, Rayon, there's 83 race meetings in Hong Kong. Whether a jockey is suspended for these 3 race meetings or these 3 race meetings, he's still suspended for a period that encompasses 3 race meetings. So they're all important. So 3 race meetings out of an 83 race meeting season is a significant percentage.
Yeah, but anyway, nothing can be perfect. Only can do it better, right?
Well, I think it's good the way it is. I think it's a system that works very well. I think it's a system that works, as I say, in the favour of owners, in the favour of the club. Punters like to see horses ridden by the same jockey where it's possible. Now that always isn't the case, but it often is the case, and that continuity of association is sometimes very important for punters. So punters get the benefit of that system as well. So I don't think the system needs to be improved upon. I think the system works well.
Yes. Okay. So another suggestion is saying that Jockey Club have lots of investment on all the equipment to make the silhouette on the board in the inquiry room to see the race clearly. But sometimes it happens that when some horses they have some problem in the starting gate, so the racing fan will suspect that it's not accident. Must be sometimes there must be a possibility that it's a jockey purposely miss the start or to make the horse lose in the race. So they will suggest that the Jockey Club should add on some some camera on the head of the gate so that you can see it more clearer, and make sure that the jockey is not doing something funny. So why don't the Jockey Club will think of this idea?
All right. Well, I mean, you can't legislate for every conspiracy that some person might have. Now, at the end of the day, the Jockey Club has got the best cameras and the best video system I think that I've seen anywhere else in the world, and we've got the ability to zoom in on certain angles and certain horses and in certain circumstances, and we believe that the coverage that's available to the stewards panel now is adequate, and the Board of Stewards equally believes that it's adequate. We've got a very professional team of starting gate handlers, a very professional starting gate team. The starter, Mr McGovern, is one of the best in the world at what he does, and those that are around him are some of the best in the world at what they do. So we've got multiple camera angles, so we've got systems in place to be able to check for those type of things, to make sure that horses are being given every opportunity to begin.
So do you remember at the beginning of the season there's a horse called Dying Star?
Yes.
And the horse is her favourite and missed the start.
Yes.
Oh, someone after the race program, they received a telephone call from the friend saying that, hey, the jockeys was doing something funny.
Yes.
So what do you think? Can we take a look of the race?
Oh, certainly we can. So Rayon, you can see this is the rear on shot, and you can see Dying Star in barrier number 2. And this is a good shot of, you can see the starter up there, you can see the deputy starter, another deputy starter, another deputy starter, more starting gate handlers. We've got a veterinary officer behind the barriers. We've got starting gate handlers up with all the horses that are considered appropriate. And this is the actual shot, but we've also got the ability to zoom in on particular horses, as I said. And if we just zoom in on Dying Star, you can see that the horse is very restless in the barriers, and you see there that he goes to sit down behind. Now that's something that a jockey can't purposely make a horse do. The horse is clearly fractious. You can see the horse's legs move. You can see he wants to sit down behind just as the barriers open. And we can continue to zoom in even tighter depending on what we need to see, so that we can just continue to zoom in to see whether there's anything inappropriate, and whether there'd be a camera above the horse's head or not. You couldn't ask for a better shot than that one. But not only do we have that shot, but we also have the shot from in front of the barriers. And once again, if I zoom in, you can see prior to the barrier, the hood comes off the horse, and you can see how fractious the horse gets. You can see that he starts to get fractious before just before the gates open, and as the gates open, you can see the horse raise his front feet off the ground, lunge in the air, and miss the start. And that's not through any fault of the jockey, it's not through any fault of the starting staff, it's not through any fault of the starting gate handlers or the starter. It's just a fractious horse that lifts his feet off the ground just as the start's affected. And in fact, he did the same thing at his subsequent race start on the 6th of October. Did precisely the same thing. When the start was affected, lifted his front feet off the ground, missed the start. So it's just one of those situations where the horse himself is getting to be something of a bad barrier horse, and he's causing his own problems rather than anybody else affecting the way the horse can begin.
Just if, the only if, we really add an individual camera in this starting gauge, you think it helped a lot? Or don't really so individually? Let's say we have a 12 gauge, for example.
No, I don't.
We have 12 camera in each individual box. Yeah. Can we see it more clearer?
I don't think so, Ryan, because you can see there that we can move the camera along to any single individual stall that we wish to, and we've got more of a coverage by doing that than we do by individual cameras in the stalls. You can see how we're able just to continue to zoom in on horses, and we believe that it's certainly coverage that provides the stewards panel and the punting public with an adequate view of the way in horses begin, and we don't believe that at this time that individual cameras in every stall would add anything above and beyond what we've got there, with the ability to pan along and look at every single stall from multiple angles, from behind, from in front, from side on as well over there on the right hand screen. So we've certainly got the coverage of every horse, we believe, pretty well covered. And as I say, I don't think that individual cameras in the stalls would add any value. But I mean, they're always things that the club can look at at different times if it's considered necessary. But at this time, it's not considered necessary.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Kim, for this explanation. I know that there's another 2 cases happen, for inquiry and objection this season. We can talk about that next time. Thank you. 喺今集節目咧，祁禮謙先生好詳盡咁解釋咗今季嘅新制度啦。咁另外，如果播片俾我哋睇，令我哋清楚知道佢哋嘅工作係幾咁嚴謹，同埋佢哋嘅器材設施亦都非常完善嘅。不過嚟緊下一集咧，佢將會有更多資訊帶俾我哋，令我哋清楚明白到咧競賽小組真係有做好佢份工㗎，所以千祈唔好錯過啦。好啦，今集喺馬場時間差唔多，下集見啦，記住收睇啊，拜拜。